Today's episode is brought to you by Super Speed Golf. The Super Speed Golf Overspeed training system is proven to help you swing every club in your bag faster, which will help you hit the ball farther and score lower. You'll see results as soon as your first session, and all it takes is just 5 minutes a day, 3 days a week, and can be easily incorporated into any training program or practice session. Use the link in the description to learn more and see for yourself why over 600 top touring pros trust Super Speed Golf. Use code MOBILITASGOLF for 10% off when you check out. That's MOBILITASGOLF. TrueSpec Golf. With over 20 locations around the world, TrueSpec Golf has quickly established themselves as worldwide leaders in custom club fitting. With over 35,000 head and shaft combinations from all the best brands, TrueSpec Golf uses a brand-agnostic approach to fit you with the best set of clubs perfectly suited for you and your game. Go to TrueSpecGolf.com to find a location near you, and be sure to tell them Coach Blaine referred you when you schedule an appointment. Rad Roller. If you're listening to this right now, you know that the Tour Shot Golf Academy, we believe when you can move better, you will play better. No one makes better, more effective mobility tools at a price you can afford than Rad Roller. With a comprehensive collection of mobility tools to choose from, Rad Roller tools will help you release tight muscles, reduce soreness, enhance recovery, and help you move better so you can play great golf. Click the link in the description to pick up an all-in kit or any of their amazing mobility tools. Sabre Golf. Practice only works if you do it correctly. In fact, practicing something incorrectly can have a negative impact on your game. Whether you're practicing at home or at the course, all Sabre Golf training aids are designed to be intuitive, effective, and durable. So whether you're using a Sabre Golf putting ruler at home to practice putting on your carpet like I do, or taking one of their short game mats to the course to dial in your wedges, or one of their other amazing products, Sabre Golf has designed their products to help you get the most out of your practice session, know you're practicing correctly, and help you build good habits. Use code MOBILITAS to save at checkout. That's MOBILITAS. Welcome to the Tour Shot Golf Podcast, where great golf is about more than just a pretty swing. Learn from expert coaches and professionals what it takes to improve your game from the inside out and play the best golf of your life. I'm your host, Coach Blaine, and on today's episode, we're talking with Coach Kevin Duffy, a top 50 golf fitness coach from Boston, Massachusetts. In this episode, we go deep into golf fitness, why it's important, how you can maximize power and hit the ball farther, what you should be doing during the off-season, how to train at home, and what you should be doing to prevent injury so you can continue to play for years to come. Move better, play better.
So let's dive into it. Everybody, we have a very, very, very special guest today. The man, the myth, the legend, Coach Kevin Duffy, top 50 fitness golf coach in the entire country. I remember when you just got that, it was just about a year ago. We were on the phone and you were celebrating. It was a really big deal. Amazing. And we're going to kind of get into some origin stories about how you got there and everything like that. My big goal for the day, though, is to help everybody who's watching and listening in or watching the replay really, own their game through a different approach than just swing technique. And I think that's where you and I really fall into alignment. Is the industry is full of methodologies or systems of moving the club and changing ball flight, and you and I understand that there's more to it than that. And what if you can't physically make those changes? And we're going to dive into a lot of that. A lot of you have already sent in some questions ahead of time. We're going to get to those as well. If you're watching this live, go ahead and throw a comment in the thread. We'll go ahead and get to those questions as we get going here. But I'm super excited for this one, a wealth of knowledge. And if you're ready, let's dive right into it.
So that was a lot to unpack there, my brother.
All right.
How are you?
Good, man. I am so excited for this. And I want to start with kind of going back a little bit of kind of how we met. Because if we go onto your website, CoachKevinDuffy.com, one of the big things that's up there is do the simple things savagely well to produce uncommon results. And that whole idea, the whole savage thing, I want to come back to in just a second. But I want to start off with the first question that I've had come in for some viewers, and it's probably one of the most popular questions that came in. Why does Kevin Duffy kick down the door?
So my buddy's asked me that. I often will even kick the door that's already open. So I don't necessarily always need to kick the door down. might just be high kicking as an entryway into a segment. Well, I'd put it this way. I was so sick and tired of watching watching strength coach videos that would put you to sleep. So this is a deadlift. Here's why we're going to do it. I don't understand why my master's degree doesn't lend to 3 million followers on Instagram. It's boring. That's why. So not that I'm out there trying to plug and promote and go crazy, but it wouldn't hurt to, up my social media presence. But it's also just, I wanted to make something that I wanted to view. So I started doing that way back. And when I was walking downtown in like the town I coached in Sudbury, I saw like some high school kid do like a kick as he saw me, and I walked by. I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. That's just going to stick around. And then, when we met Jason Glass, he was like, yeah, you're going to keep doing that. And I was like, okay, sounds good. I was like, I didn't plan on not doing that. So I'm glad it just got confirmed.
Absolutely.
So why do I kick down doors is because I don't like boring videos. I don't make your boring instructional video. I could. I don't think anybody watch it. So.
Well, you make a great point, because some of my favorite ones are the ones where you're kicking things that aren't doors. Like you have many, like you stack of foam rollers or cones everywhere.
I broke that.
Uh-oh.
I finally released it's deep in the archives, but you can find the one where I kicked the foam roll and it snapped. Picking up all those little beads was a pain.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. So let's dive into some of the strength work here, because that's a really big topic. That's what you're known for, strength and conditioning. Over the last couple of years, you and I, we've been fortunate to cross paths on the TPI stage at the PGA show down in Orlando, which is kind of the stage to be on in that kind of segment of the industry. And you just crushed it. 2 years in a row, came out, brought the energy. First year was just like, oh my God, I got to step up my game, because here's Coach Kevin Duffy just owning the room. I want to dive into that particular one for a second here, because you talked about, I believe there's 3 exercises to do during the off season, and that was four exercises doing in the off season. It was a really big one that came through from all of the followers here. Is they're like, look, the golf season's kind of winding down, Labor Day's over with, I'm going into the off season. So what should somebody be looking to do between now and, especially where you're at in outside of Boston, really until like April or May?
Yeah, well, who knows how. So
Sure.
we could get a little bit longer season, depending on how nice coffee mug there.
A little plug there to Jay.
We could get a little bit longer season, but as far as like the competitive season goes,
right,
for like the amateurs working on mass golf and stuff like that, stuff's winding down. Obviously, it's going to get colder. I still personally believe fall golf is the best golf.
100%.
But the competitive season is wrapping up. So what we start to look at from a training standpoint is, what is the window? The longer that somebody gives me, the easier it is on them and for me to program. On them physically, like if you have a higher training age, you've trained through high school, you trained through college, and you have that to pull from when you're going back to strength and conditioning, either as an adult, starting up again, or as a college golfer coming into the weight room again on their off season. That's easier conditioning to start from. But when you get the strength training window that is from an amateur side who has not had the years of experience, that off season becomes more important to make it longer. Now, when people come to me and they say, hey, I have 3 weeks before I go to Myrtle Beach and I haven't done a damn thing, it's like,
right,
dude, I'm going to try to slap a Band-Aid on it, but I need to see you when you come back and swing hard. I'll try my best, but it takes 6 weeks is kind of a minimum mark to make some real changes from a strength and conditioning standpoint. But the 4, getting back to what your original question was, what was the 4, right?
Yeah, so overall, like, what should we be doing, right? You had 4 that just were really, really good, insightful pieces. So I'd love to dive into those and the reasons why you did them and all the demos you did on stage.
Yeah, so the king, let's start at the king. So I consider deadlift the king. I think, and I don't mean deadlift the traditional straight bar deadlift.
Right.
I personally, for my golfers, I would say hex bar deadlift is king. It's perfect that way. All different type of hinging exercises would be the most important from the postural standpoint of keeping your shoulders back, setting your spine up at neutral, loading your hamstrings, loading your butt. And this is the angle of the spine I'm usually looking for. I'm just always constantly showing people this diagram. I'm constantly saying, see my forearm? This is what I want your hips and your back to look like. So I think that deadlift is king. All the variations I like to get into, as soon as I can get you into a single leg, I will, as fast as possible. I follow a couple of Jason Glass's protocols as far as the single leg to elevation with the pipe. And then from there, that's where I start to branch off and add some other things that I like to do and sprinkle in some things that he does from the high triplexity standpoint. Single leg deadlifts are awesome for balance. And then from there, I'll move into your carries. Your carries are massive. I'll expand on them if we want to.
Oh, definitely.
And then pull-ups, any pull-up variation. If you can't do a pull-up, a kettlebell is a fine tool to pull. Dumbbells are good to pull. TRX is one of my go-tos. And after the pull-up, you got your carries, your pull-up, and then your step-up. I put out a video on my Instagram the other day, and I called it "Not Your Mama's Step Up," and that's how I train it. I don't want a step, kick. No,
right.
It'd be creating speed off of one leg, creating balance at the top, and then throwing the brakes on with your butt. That's what I'm going to need you to do in your golf swing. And we all know that single leg strength or stepping up or the jumping aspect of that exercise that can come into play all translate to vertical power, which we know vertical power is going to translate to club head speed. And club head speed is the number one reason why you hit the ball further or you don't. So that's the number one reason people come to see me is distance. And that's the number one thing I focus on is creating the ability to be strong in a vertical power standpoint. So I can expand. We can keep going down that wormhole the more we want, but
which I think we will, because I want to touch on something that you brought up, because throughout my programming that I do with the fitness aspect, I'm with you. Single leg stuff is amazing, right? Because of, like you said, the balance and the hip hinge and the glute control, posture. I mean, you name it. However, I have a feeling that the majority of people watching this right now have never done a single leg variation of anything.
Yes.
Why should they do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, balance, man. You got to balance. Oftentimes I would prefer my people to fall through their swing.
Sure.
Right. I would kind of, from a miss standpoint, like, let's put it that way. The miss I would prefer is kind of people stepping through rather than falling back.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't want you to do either anyways. So balance is huge. I challenge somebody to listen to this podcast to, if they can't close their eyes and lift one leg up for 10 to 15 seconds without feeling themselves wobble, you need to work on balance. If you go up in your straight line, great. Balance isn't our biggest concern. Let's put some more weight in your hands. Let's make you stronger and a little bit more stable, and we'll go from there. But most people I've tested. So I started a new job. So I've been testing people over and over and over again. Kind of, it's one of my, my intake tools is the TPI exam, and I'll take them through my expanded version of what I like to see in my own testing. And everybody's been under 5 seconds in balance. So that was 10 people, except for the kid who won the Mass Am. He can balance. So
fair enough. So testing, let's touch on that for a second, because I know, having been a fitness coach for about 5-6 years in the CrossFit space and everything like that, there wasn't really this culture of testing. It was just come in, what can you do? Let's just scale it. Like, what is testing? Why is that important? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Why should somebody look for a coach who tests?
Are you trying to bait me to go down the CrossFit realm?
Whatever you want to touch on.
Oh, I won't take that bait. So I would say that the testing is going to give me a good standpoint to say you have or you have not improved, right? That's the basic. Sometimes, let's put it this way. I have some female clients that will come in who will say, yeah, I'm here and I heard about you because of golf. I just want to do a pull-up. If she started at 0 and we get her to 3, not only have we improved in the pull-up, the building blocks along the way have got her to posture, balance, and stability going through the ball. She's a little bit more controlled through her torso and her movements. And guess what? She's walking around with a little bit more of a shoulder pulled back position. Her friends are complimenting her because her shoulders look nice and she's set back because she's not here. Most of my male clients come in and say, hey, I need the ball to go further. What they really need may be something else, but they came to me because their ball flight is 20 yards less than it used to be. But what I'm realizing is their T-spine doesn't move, or they have no balance through their swing, so they're always falling off it, and it's like shooting a fadeaway. So I get people in for the test, and they stay because of the successes that we started to plan and program because what the test pointed out. I don't think the test, TPI tests are useful for sure. It's not end all be all to say like, ooh, I did or I did not pass. It's more, did you or did you not improve? If you did not improve, fire me. I did a bad job. I haven't not improved somebody yet. So I'm going on my 10th year of coaching. So I'm trying to keep that. Also, proudest thing, I have not injured anyone ever.
That's why you're top 50.
The woman walking out the door who rolled her ankle does not count. That was not me. She was on the phone, not my fault.
I love it. So you touched on something here that I was going to say for later, but we might as well talk about it. Let's just bring it up because it's something that's in the industry. It's probably going to be there for the rest of our lives. But I don't want to get bulky. We hear it all the time from the ladies, right? Even some guys. Yeah, exactly. Like that's the perfect reaction that we should have. Let's touch on that.
Do you know how much time, effort, and calories I had to intake during my college years to stay bulky? It is so I can't stress this enough. It is so hard to get large and bulky that it is the time you would have to put in, the amount of food you would have to take, and depending on your age, the amount of supplements and or testosterone you would have to put into your body would be insane. Thinking back to what I used to eat in order to get bulky makes me want to puke. It was huge. The calories I was taking in, and we've seen it, the conversation being had with Bryson, the calories that man is taking in is borderline insane in order to maintain that bulky, large figure. If you want to put on muscle mass, that's going to be easy, right? Depending on how your body type is, if you're a hard gainer or an easy gainer. But to get bulky and jerked, in order to do that, the calories you have to take in, the amount of time you have to spend in the gym are crazy, especially from for example, from a postmenopausal female, which I coach a lot of older women. It's not going to happen. You would have to start cycling testosterone on a regular basis through your doctor, which that's not going to happen unless you're going for a movie role or something. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get large and bulky from a older golfer standpoint. As a younger golfer, if we are smart and we put on muscle the correct way, and I don't spend a ton of time on bicep curls instead of pull-ups, then I will add safe muscle mass, more familiar with the body types of, let's say Rory's got a really good athletic figure who went from a pudgier figure at his younger age. Some people say he was better then, but I think that his distances and his yardage would argue otherwise. He just needs to get his putter going again, and he top tens every year or every week. So he's doing fine. In order to get super bulky, the calories, the protein you have to take in, the amount of shakes you'd have to do, and the amount of time you'd have to spend in the gym are quite large. You are not getting bulky in 2 training sessions to 3 training sessions a week with a normal calorie intake. It's not going to happen.
So then
put that one to bed.
So let's take the bulk and just kind of dive into it a little bit, because obviously with Bryson DeChambeau, it's a huge talk this season. He comes back from the break after COVID. He's up like 30 pounds. He's crushing the ball. But you're saying that bulk isn't necessarily the goal. In his case, bulk was one of the side effects of his other training. And you had mentioned a little bit about things like neurological training and high triplexidy. And I'd love to dive into that. What's the real goal with strength training?
Yeah, so I'll expand on him a little bit, and I think that'll help. And then circle me back. Sometimes I get into just rolling. So the thing that also we have to take into granted is that when he was training, he had a massive focus on continuing his mobility. But I think from a neurological standpoint, same thing was like, we always step on stage, I think on the TPI main stage, and one of the staples out there is speed sticks. I don't know how much speed stick training he was doing, but I can tell you he was practicing swinging the golf club as hard as he could while getting a feedback from his coach, so yelling at him, saying, let's go, let's go, let's go, because he knows that gets his heart rate up. And you see what he does with his feet, similar to somebody who's getting into the sprint blocks. They jump. Boom, 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 boom. Blocks, go. That's not just to show, hey, look, I got hops. No, that's telling your body, dude, we're about to go. Fire, 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 fire. So there's a reason I have my athletes jump rope or foot fire or shuffle or do something quick. It's like, hey, I took you from 7 a.m. like, hey, good morning, foam roll, massage, glute activation, dynamic warm up. Go, right? What's going to be the light switch? So he also trained the neurological adaptations required by getting his body used to hitting what was he always chasing? The 200 ball speed? That's the number, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just ridiculous. If you look at what the club head speed it takes to get to that number, is incredible.
That's what he's chasing, 200 ball speed. And in order to get there, you need to psych yourself up a little bit. You need to put on some weight, but you need to be mobile, because let's say I went through a bodybuilding protocol, that's not going to do it, right? Need to be long, shoulders need to be back, need to be able to turn still. He can't create more speed he just went, but right. Those weren't the lifting protocols he followed. He didn't follow like, okay, chest day, leg day, shoulder day, back day, repeat. He didn't do that.
So what would you say for those listening is the main difference between, say, bodybuilding and weightlifting and functional fitness and kind of these disciplines within the discipline, if you will? Where should people focus their attention, or if they're looking at, Muscle and Fitness magazine and like Men's Health and like all these things? Is that what's applying to golf? Is that the kind of stuff you're doing, or is that a whole different can of worms?
Different can of worms. Yes. It depends on what the person wants. Let's put it this way, right? So one of my best clients, Greg, he came to me with golf, right? He was the president of his golf club. He had won the club championship. He lost that year. He came into my weight room. The main purpose was golf. Fast forward, I've been with him for 3 years. Down 65 pounds. Very happily left the golf club presidency because it was, taking up too much of his life, and his personal life he wanted to take more of a focus there. He is a joy to be around now. He never comes in unhappy. And his main goal was golf. And now he's Like, hey, Duff, how do I get my t-shirt to fit a little? I'm like, Greg, your t-shirt fits great. You're 65. You're down 65 pounds. I don't know how to. He's like, yeah, but I want it like a little B. I'm like, Greg, will you? So it depends on your goal. If I just started working with the kid who won. His name's Matt. He plays out of Nishotic, and he won the Mass Am, and he's trying to make a run at professional golf. That kid's coming to me for golf. I'm not training him to be a bodybuilder. At no point in time am I following a bench press to incline bench press to push up to chest fly to more chest burnout exercises in one day for that guy. That makes absolutely no sense. But if I had a kid who said, hey, coach, my shoulders are really small. I really am self-conscious about the size of my chest and my shoulders. I happen to play golf, but it's not really a passion of mine. I'm going to college. I'm not playing college golf. I want to meet some girls, and I want my t-shirt to fit better. Guess which protocol he's going to get?
Sure.
He's going to get a little bit more of that bodybuilding perspective. But if you, as a coach, can't differentiate yourself to be able to be like, this program works for this guy, this program works for this guy, this is a 65-year-old golfer who came to me for golf who just wants to be in general good shape. A deadlift's a deadlift, a push-up's a push-up. Those exercises still work. But if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to do this, these are my end goals, and they don't necessarily line up with traditional TPI screening and club head speed and those things, I won't take them down that avenue. But most people find me for the golf avenue, and that's where I take them. And that's always a total body aspect. There's always going to be some neurological adaptation required in each one of my workouts, and we're going to move fast. The biggest thing I also hate to see is slow med ball work, really heavy, slow med ball work. Stop doing that. That just makes me unhappy. Stop it.
So while we're touching on that point, we've thrown around the word neurological a lot, and that's kind of a newer term in the strength and conditioning realm. We always hear about
shouldn't be
muscles and atrophy and hypertrophy and things like that, but the neurological stuff is where the money's at. What are you doing? What are you trying to accomplish with neurological adaptation?
Mostly it's so when you get a young client or a client who's new to training, so either young in age or young in training age, they're both going to have huge jumps in neurological adaptation. I didn't magically, from day 1 to day 2, make you stronger at push-ups. You learned how to use the muscles that project you off that, either the incline bench or the flat press or wherever we put you. That is a neurological adaptation. I might be a good coach. I didn't make you 5 push-ups stronger in 24, 48 hours. I didn't do that. I'm sure I'll take the credit and we'll keep working together, but let's be real. I'm not a magic person. So the neurological adaptations are larger the younger you are in training age or the younger you are in actual age. The neurological adaptations you get for a high-level athlete for changing that 1%, that's what you're talking about, like as in like the moneymaker. That 1% that you change on a high-level athlete to get him to understand, like, hey, dude, for some reason, that left glute when you turn is very inactive. Let's try some band walks. Let's put in. So now I'm working at Nishotic Country Club. I have the opportunity to take from the gym, walk right outside, have the range, and then have eyeballs from a swing coach right there. Because I sure as heck am not telling anybody how to swing a golf club. That would get me in a lot of trouble. Mark Blackburn would come from the clouds, grab me by the throat and say, no. But the thing that I can find for that 1% person will be like this. But the thing you find with that new client or that person who's new to training is going to be here. But they may have better results. Like that 1% person may now be able to control their ball flight a little bit more, which is what they were going for. And they didn't know why they weren't doing it. And maybe the turn, maybe their glutes were a little less active. They now add bands to their routine before they go to the range. They go to the range and they find the range session to be a little bit more calming, a little bit more in control, and they have a little bit more confidence stepping onto the tee. That's huge. Now, also as huge is I got somebody to be able to do their first push-up. I would say I enjoy the first push-up more.
Yes.
But the 1% of the top guy, that pays a little better. But I have more fun with the young bucks or the new to training people in the weight room 100% of the time. I also think that spans from like when I went to Exos for my internship, and I worked with pro athletes, and I also worked with injured military veterans. Pro athletes, you're working on 1%. Injured military vets, I'm working on sit to stand or basic human movement. They may have lost a limb. I'll work with those guys 100% of the time over the professional athlete. And I walked into that weight room being like, I only want to work with athletes. I walked out of that weight room and I said, I want to help people move better. So
absolutely. That's, man, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because it's just, like you said, it's the most rewarding thing to be like, okay, here's something you can't do. Now you can do it. And
yeah.
just that empowering nature.
This is a squat.
Right. So somebody I know is watching this right now. They're getting excited. They're like, look, I want to get into strength training, but I've never done it before. What should they what's a standard, I'm going to use air quotes, cookie cutter, like what should they be doing? What should they be looking for? What would you be working on? You know, they're 35 years old, they're 40 years old, they've never gone to the gym.
Yep.
Maybe they're somewhat active, they kind of play golf, but you know, they're ready.
So you mean from the standpoint of like where should they start or how should they start, I guess?
A little bit of both, right?
Okay.
What should their expectations be, and what's going to be the roadmap that gets them the best results?
All right, let's give them the road. All right, let's go down that. I'll give them the roadmap. So the best results and the fastest results are going to be when you're with a trained professional or you're following a strategy. Private training is going to get you the fastest results. Small group setup is also a really good way. If you have a partner in crime who wants to do it with you, that's always great when you have mutual buy-in for the people who are, supporting you. And then the slowest route is winging it on your own in like a Planet Fitness or large group fitness. If it's large group that gets you started, great, do it. But if you want your fastest roadmap for golf fitness, it is find, coaches like ourselves, TPI backgrounds or golf knowledge. It's I find it very difficult to watch coaches who don't have a golf background or ability to at least talk golf, work with golfers. I want to help them. I'm like, dude, no, just say you watched the match yesterday. Just help yourself. Or just watch it because it's awesome. But work with somebody who knows the game, knows what you're looking for. And then from there, I would start those 4 exercises are king. If that's not in your program, you messed up. If there's no deadlift, there's no carry, there's no step up, and there's no, what was the last one I said? There's no deadlift, there's no carry, there's no step up, and what did I say for that? Oh, pull up. Yeah, if those aren't in your program, no pull up, no deadlift, no step, no carry, change your program. Or ask your coach to adjust your program nicely.
Sure. And people should be expecting to work out 10 times a week for 3 hours, right?
I don't do that. I don't expect people to train more than they're able to. Now, one of the most powerful tools, and I'm not big into the self-help books or anything like that, but the most powerful thing I heard that somebody gave me from a self-help book, I don't even know if that's the right type of title. I don't want to insult those types of books, but the phrase, I don't have time, if you replace I don't have time with I don't care, it's very powerful. I don't have time to work out. I don't care to work out. You don't have time? What time do you clock in? If someone says 9 and they tell me they don't have time, I laugh because waking up at 6:45, getting up, getting yourself a glass of water and a protein bar, going for a 15-minute jog, walking back in your house, showering, making your eggs, or getting your kids out is so easy. 15 minutes. Do 15 minutes of jogging every day, or 15 minutes of yoga, or 15 minutes of push-up, air squat, and jumping jack. If you did that, you would be better. If you say, well, I like to watch the midnight news, I play video games at night, and I can't get off TikTok, which is addicting. Just undownload it. That's what I did. You can't get to bed. You haven't tried melatonin. You stay up too late. You drink beer, and you had a coffee at 5 o'clock. Try going to bed earlier. I say that, people are like,
What?
it's too easy. That can't be the solution. It's the solution. Just try going to bed before 11. Wake up before your 8:30 when you have to be to work at 9.
So how do you motivate or inspire or get somebody out of that rut and into a new habit? Because if they've been doing that routine, they're staying up late, playing video games, watching the news, everything, and they've been doing that for a few years or whatever, to transition into what you're talking about, while we both know there's no doubt you'll get the benefits and it's going to be that is the solution. But how do you nudge them in that door? How do you get them coming back? Because we both know that this game of fitness and wellness is a long game. It's not just to do it for a couple months and then you're done. It's like, how do we just become better versions of ourselves? How do you start that snowball?
Slowly. I'm not the coach that you hire for a month. I'm the coach that you hire for a year. So when I say that, people start to understand that I am not going to hit them over the head with, here's every strategy you need to be successful.
Right.
If you are a high percent person who were like I've dealt with these people that are awesome. They're really intense. But if it's like a cold turkey, I walked in, I just signed up for 24 sessions. I'm going to be here every Wednesday morning at 6:30, and they're locked in. That guy, I give the plan to quicker. He's like, read me the textbook. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I've had 3 of those in my life. They're awesome. And they have all been successful and moved on. Right. And you know what they did for me? They referred me like 25 people each.
Absolutely.
So those people are great. But they're very unique. They're also pretty successful in their work life as well. Those people are type A go-getters. But those are not everyday people. So go to bed early, add water. Basic things are the things I'm going to touch on. I'm just going to plant a seed. Next time I see it, water that seed. Next time I see it, water. And get you to understand that, no, you shouldn't be getting all of your energy from coffee. You should be getting it from food. You should not be drinking your 5th beer at the end of the night. If you want to have 1 glass of wine or a beer to unwind at the end of your evening with your wife at dinner, I am not the coach that tells you need to go cold turkey. Because if you tell me, hey, Duff, you can never sit down after your 18-round hole and enjoy a crispy beer with your boys because I gave you this protocol, I'm not going to hire you. I'm not going to work with you. You need to understand that everybody's hiring you to assist in their life and be a part of their life, not absolutely chop it in half. There are some people that want that thing, and I can tell you, don't ever drink again, or it's detrimental to you. But you also have people who are numbers people. So the Whoop band is very helpful for you to understand how alcohol, how sleep, how your recovery affect your game. I know that for me, I play my best round when I got my sleep. Let's say I'm playing on Saturday. If I got a really good sleep on Thursday, it's going to be helpful for me. I don't need 8 hours. Don't necessarily need it. And I need to be active before I play my match. If I walk in and all I've done is a range session, that's not enough. I need to get my jitters down. I'm a go-getter. I go fast, and I will overswing. I need to do something to let out some energy before I play golf.
It's a good little transition while we're talking about it of this last year. Well, not this last, I guess it was technically this year, but back in January, you gave another presentation on the TPI stage, and we're talking about preparation for the game. You even brought somebody up on stage, increased their swing speed a few miles an hour in a very short amount of time.
And it was he had a huge club head speed.
He was already in the 130s, and you still got it to go up.
He's a long drive guy. I picked him.
What does that look like for just the average golfer? There's somebody watching this right now, where they're watching the replay. They go out and play 2 or 3 times a month. Maybe they take the occasional lesson. They're at the range. How do they get warmed up? How do they get prepped? How do they have a great day?
So I tell people to figure out what type of golfer they are in non-competitive manner.
Right.
If you're going to say, so for me, my biggest tournament that I play in every year is the member guest, right? I'll play, I was the member, now I'm the guest. Nice course knowledge there. So that is not a time for me to start new habits. The time for me to start new habits is when I'm going to play with my father, who's not the greatest golfer. He's got another ball in his pocket. He's dropping it. We're hitting. We're rolling. I don't care. Yeah. We have a blast playing that style of golf. I've played barefoot a couple times. It's delightful.
It's got to be the best.
That's when you try new things. So when you go into golf with that attitude of finding out what type of golfer I am, a run before your round or a workout or a mobility session, those type of things are something you should test. I personally know I benefit from getting some energy out, walking to the range, and being on the calmer side of things. Whereas I have a client who loves to bump Rage Against the Machine, get a sweat on, shower, put his golf on, go. He says if he does that, his first hole is a par 5. He said I'm on in 2 or I'm on in 3. There's 1 stroke on the first hole difference for that guy doing that routine or not doing that routine. He said it is a 20 to 25 yard distance change, and he goes down 2.5 clubs in his second shot onto a par 5. It's a short par 5. It turns right. That course is tricky. I don't like it. Charter Oak. He says it's a 1-shot swing, pre-routine or not routine. So you have a guy like myself who needs to get some energy out and to work out before and walk onto the range calm, listening to Jack Johnson, staying nice and mellow. Keep it easy, Kev. You've got Rage Against the Machine guy who wants to listen to heavy music, have a full sweat in before he goes play and operate here, right? Then you have the guy who will generally benefit from a mobility-only program. So those are kind of the 3 categories, and then, we can branch off from there. But I have a guy, Ryan, who I've coached, and if he steps on the range and he has done the hyped up routine, he's slicing the heck out of it. If he does, and he's got an injury background, and he has some shoulder issues. Sure. If we get him to activate his shoulders, to do some band walks, and to do some 90-90 hip, 5 minutes inside their tiny gym, go out. He plays with the other guy, the Rage Against the Machine guy. He follows that routine. He's messed up. He follows his routine. He's great. So everybody's a little different. But what I did on the TPI stage was I took a guy who was not warmed up, who I randomly pulled him out of the crowd. He's a long drive champion. I pulled him out of the crowd. He's huge. He also is a hell of a follow on Instagram. He went from cold, and he says, hey, I do this for my routine to warm up. And I realized, hey, that's not enough. He was unstable on his follow through. We did glute activation. I had him jump a few times, pretty much do some foot fire, wake him up a little bit. club head went from 130, I think he hit 130, which is already really high, to 133, 134. And he said, dude, that makes a big difference. 133 to 134 is especially a guy who knows his numbers like that. He said 134 keeps me on this side of the tour. 130 keeps me on this side of the long drive tour. He said, I want to be on this side. I don't want to always do charity events. I want to be on TV.
Right.
So that make 130 to 134. Obviously, we're talking about crazy club head speeds. I'm happy to have somebody go from 90 to 100.
Oh, definitely. Now, one of the things I love about what you do on stage is it's, you do something that's very uncomfortable for many people when on stage. And being on stage is already uncomfortable for a lot of people.
I was going to say, you mean just being on stage?
Right. But what you'll do is you'll pull people up on stage and you'll go into it. I'm going to use air quotes of saying not having a plan, because obviously you have a plan, but you look at them with fresh eyes of like, let's see what's actually happening. Let's not go into it with a preconceived notion of what I think they need.
Yeah.
And we saw that, I don't know, I might be misquoting, but I think you've brought like 3, 4, 5 people up on stage over the years. What is it that you look for in those moments, and how do you do it so quickly?
So I did get a talking to when I did that, because Lance Gill and Jason Glass said, what if you fail?
Right.
So
right.
I want to clean that up going up into future presentations when we're allowed to be out in public again and speak. And,
right.
I don't have, if I was to go on the TPI stage and I had a mask on, I'm not doing it. I don't think that'll happen. But when I see people, and I can point out a miss, especially in a stage standpoint, going after that. If I can't find one, I'm going back to the principles that I know will generally assist everybody. A better posture and a more active posterior chain is most likely going to produce some results. If, Lance Gill rolled out this scenario for me. He said, if you got that guy on stage, weren't able to change any of his stuff, and none of your exercises worked, that would have been the worst presentation ever. So that was a risk.
Right. Coming from Lance Gill, too.
Yeah. So, and he also, he'll deliver his advice, and it's just like,
right.
Oh, okay. So, got it. Yeah. So it was like, I could have failed. Luckily I didn't. And I think I adjusted 3 guys. 1 I planned, 2 were random. Both benefited in a higher club head speed. Just from doing, I don't know, what did I do? Like 2 minutes worth of work with them?
Yeah. It was a little bit more high intensity. Like you said, you're doing your king workouts, you're doing some carries and some step ups and hinges and everything like that, along with some other activation, but it didn't take very long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's insane that you would think that going up to the first tee and just doing 2 driver swings before you go off is going to be beneficial.
Right.
I mean, if you go to the range and you work wedge up to driver, you're going to be better off. If you go to the range, you did your mobility in the morning, then you went wedge to driver, you're going to be better off than that. If you benefit from being an active workout person and you went to the gym, you saw him. So this is a scenario I've done. I've been in Nishotic for a week and a half. I have had somebody work out. They finish their workout. They go shower and change. I meet them on the range. They go through the range. Then I walk the first couple holes with them. That guy had a better outcome than he usually does. Right? So I got an hour before my range. I don't have an hour. I have 10 minutes. I have 5 minutes. I'm late to my tee time. Like, don't be late to your tee time. Don't be late to your wedding. Don't be late to your tee time.
Very important on both.
Yes.
Awesome. So I want to turn it over to a question that came in here from the audience, and this one comes from Chad out in Oregon, who is a teaching professional, works with a lot of golfers, and he wants to know, what is the most common problem that you see with students from a flexibility or fitness standpoint, and the problems that it causes in the golf swing, and how you'd correct it? And I know it's a little bit open-ended, but
Okay. Do you know if he's talking about youth or adult?
That's a really good point, and because they have different answers, so maybe we touch on both.
Okay, so for youth, it's over flexible and not stable.
Hmm.
They come in and their parents have told them, this is generally a conversation I have 3 times a week. Coach, I need to work on flexibility. Their arms going back here, they get back. You don't need flexibility, dude.
Right.
What's your miss? Oh, it's a hook. Okay, yeah, it's not flexibility. You're not stable. We need to staple you, concrete flooring, to the ground. Okay, that would be my youth golfer answer.
Yep.
They're mobile, not stable. That's my youth golfer answer. And then for my amateur golfer or club pro answer, it's usually one, lack of practice, but number 2 is the inability to fire their muscles like they used to. So being inactive, walking up to their training and their match. I would say a C posture is very common in an older golfer. So postural restoration exercises that pull their scat back and give them the diagram I use all day long. This angle, it's called the neutral spine. You should try it. It's very easy to rotate. I would say, and then the miss from the adult golfer that I see the most is falling off the swing, either like I talked about, falling through or
Right.
pulling back. And it's a compensation that they're doing that is coming from a lack of training in their regular fitness routine. I think that was a little bit of an open answer, but the question was a little open. Do you think is there anywhere you want me to really dive in more on that?
Absolutely, because I think you hit the nail on the head for how open the question was. So let me just dial the question in a little bit. Because one of the things that I teach a lot in my academy program is this idea of mobility versus stability. And you said on the junior side, it's look, you need less, not necessarily less mobility, but you need more strength, you need more stability. On the other
Don't
side,
say less, more of this.
yes, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I got to be careful of how I phrase it.
Careful.
But with the adult side, it's okay, let's increase the flexibility. So when we're talking about the mobility stability model, I'd love for you to dive in a little bit. Not everything should be mobile, not everything should be stable. There's a relationship between that model and getting the body to work the way that it should. I'd love to hear your take on just diving into that and what people should be capable of doing. What does it mean to be functionally fit? What does it mean to be able to move like a human?
Yeah, so if you can't disassociate, right? If when the leg turns, the arm, everything's going in once, it's going to be very difficult to swing. If your lower half is able to be stable when I'm going in my backswing, I'm going to have more ability to go through. I would say as a strong point for my coaching, I am very, very good at making you more stable into the ground. If I run into a blockade from a mobility standpoint that I can't address with trigger pointing, foam rolling, or a massage gun, if I run into that, I'm very good at pointing that out and sending you to the right fitness the right manual therapist or chiropractor, or I have a really good bucket of resources that I pull from to know when, hey, this is not my strong point. Your hip doesn't need a trigger point ball. It needs a sledgehammer. And by sledgehammer, I mean manual therapist fingers or tool to help you realize you're locked up. It's not the strongest part of my game. It's one of the things that I want to go study more of. I think that the mobility game is where I can add in my own coaching realm. But I'm smart enough to know when you have this problem that I can't necessarily address, that, hey, go see my manual therapist reference and go from there. And that is more common in the adult golfer. The youth golfer does not usually run into that. They will run into low back pain due to different compensations they're making from not having enough breaks. That is common in youth golf. And increased sitting that we were doing in the 2020 is showing up in your golf swing. I've seen somebody actively hip cramp on the range. Don't do that. Yeah, I think I answered that right.
Yeah, so for everybody watching, I think this is a huge takeaway. Here we are talking to the top 50 golf fitness coach, one of the best in the industry, and he's saying, look, I know how everything's supposed to work. I can get you better in my specialty area, but I don't know everything. And I think that's a really important thing that you bring up here is when you look for a coach who is the best of the best at what they do, but also knows the best of the best in the things that they don't do.
My team's huge. There's the assists I get on clients on a regular basis, whether it's from the coach giving me a tip that they saw in their swing, or it's my chiropractor who said, hey man, his left hip is real low. He benefits when I get in there and trigger point that side. So in his warm-up routine, add this. The amount of tips I get from that guy is what makes me beneficial. When you hire me, you get all my resources. I have 2 different sources that I use for nutrition. I have 10 different swing coaches I can refer you to based on where you live. I have 4 to 5 different chiropractors, manual therapists, physical therapists, foot specialists that I can refer you to. And I also have a really nice t-shirt guy who makes my own stuff. So whatever you need, I got you.
I love that. I think that's so important. All right, next question that came in from the audience. What parts of your body need to improve to maximize your hip rotation to a maximum swing on your forward swing? Right. So I know we touched on that a little bit, but what are the biggest key areas that are going to increase club head speed?
They answered it right there. They said, where in their hip
what parts of your body need improvement to maximize hip rotation?
Okay. All right. So glutes.
To create club head speed. So
glutes. Yeah, glutes. Your glutes need to be, if your glutes are active, your hips will go through most of the time, unless you have actually, I'm going to kind of pass that one to you. But if a right-handed golfer has a blockade on their finish, they may need to trigger point that left side front hip. Right. But if both left and right backside butt cheeks are inactive, the ability to turn will be less.
So let's, while we're on that real quick, I think there's this almost common misconception that just because you have a big butt means you have a strong butt.
Both are nice.
Both are nice, but not both are necessarily true at the same time. You could have a big butt because
backside. An inactive backside is useless. So there's a reason that some hockey players hit the ball a long, long way when they play golf in the offseason. Their butt is constantly hitting triple extension on every single stride they do.
Yes.
And they also, for a job, slam the puck.
Yeah.
So they are pushing and turning on a regular basis. If you have a hockey background, you're probably going to have a big butt. If you were a hockey player who has a big butt, who hasn't trained in a long, long time, that is a useless large backside. Activate your butt, start being more physical, you will hit the ball further.
I like that.
So that answers the big butt versus useful butt dilemma you had right there.
Absolutely. So how can somebody easily at home figure out if their butt is active?
CoachKevinDuffy.com. No, I'm just kidding. Glute activation series. The ones I do, I start with a lighter band. Some people buy these heavy black bands. Dude, you don't need that.
Right.
I can get your glutes active with one, I don't even need a band. But 2, I could do it with like a thin band that's like those little yellow ones, and all I'm having you do is tiny movements, right? Kick your knees out, bring them back in. But generally what I have people do is stand in athletic position, 10 reps out against their right knee, against their left knee, 10 together, diagonal taps, shuffle step, monster walk forward and back. Your butt's on. It's active, it's warm, it feels like it's on fire. Good, we're ready to go.
Fantastic. And then the glutes, that's going to translate into ground force. That's going to translate into being able to use your body properly.
Yeah, I've been diving into that ground force conversation a lot in my own swing as well. I find that I need to use I'm a lefty, so I need to use my trail leg to get more force out of the left heel. That's my feel.
Right.
The left glute, and then into my front leg being my right. I'm a lefty. We're people too, to finish through. And also I found that the conversation that I've been having about using the floor really translates when you look at the guys on the range. If you look at you'll see their divot patterns, which is all the golf pros are looking at.
Oh yeah.
What I'm looking at is their feet, which are about sunk in probably this much lower than the rest of the ground, because they're pretty much in that same bay for the whole warm-up session. And if you see their divot pattern here, if you look back, you'll see a dent of their heels right here and here. Use the floor. Well, I think Mark Blackburn did a presentation recently on it, and he's been kind of one of the guys going after the feet more.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in January, at the demo day, I saw
That's right.
and Lance Gill did a whole presentation on footwork and wrist work.
Yep.
Both the two big ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
The foot and
Use
the
your
ground.
feet. Use your feet.
Awesome. All right. Working out at home.
Everybody's doing it.
Everyone's doing it. What do they need?
Minimum equipment? Like, what's the minimum buy?
Do they even need minimum equipment? Can you get results with
Yes.
body weight training? Do you need equipment? If you get equipment, what should it be?
I'm going to say yes, because we've been doing the no equipment stuff for so long, and you've been working out at home for so long at this standpoint. Just go buy some gear.
Got it.
Like, you and I both got bored a while ago. I am bored of programming you with no weight. Like, your inability to get weight should be gone by now. And if you can't buy it, make it. But if I was to, so like let's put it this way. Here was my quarantine purchase list for all of my clients.
Perfect.
Sandbag, mostly because it ships, and it ships unloaded. So they'll actually send it.
Yeah.
So a sandbag is one. If you can get your hands on a TRX, that's great. Kettlebells are going to be really hard to get your hands on because they're loaded.
Yeah, definitely.
A large order of kettlebells will ship. So if you and a few friends want to buy a set, they'll ship that. You spend $1,000, they're going to ship it. You buy one 20-pound kettlebell, you'll get it in a year and a half.
Exactly.
So sandbag,
Yep.
TRX, kettlebell. Now, that's my large purchase list. If it's a minimal purchase list, I would say, I think, is it the Gray Cook band, the one with the loop?
Yeah, the FMT Gray Cook band.
Thank you. So Gray Cook band, if you're not buying something heavy, Gray Cook band, a PVC pipe, and maybe some floor slides, which you can get at Home Depot.
Got it. Floor slides mean the things you put like under a couch to slide
Furniture
around.
slides. Yeah. Furniture movers. Don't buy the Val slide. It's like $25 for something you get at Home Depot.
Yeah.
For significantly less. Or I like the one that I enjoy from a commercial standpoint. Like, I'm not going to buy, I do have some of the furniture slides, but Skills, SKLZ, they make some really good products.
Definitely.
Those are the ones. That's my minimal purchase list. And then my maximum one is split a kettlebell set with some buddies, grab a sandbag and a TRX if you're going to train at home for the foreseeable future.
Perfect. And then if you are training at home, or and there's even some overlap, if you're training at the gym or with somebody like yourself, where does somebody need to fall on the intensity spectrum, right? How much output do they need, and does that change the duration?
Depends on what they're looking for.
There's the golden nugget. And that's why they come to see you. All right.
So if you're looking to create change in you only have one day a week to work out, it better be hard. If you're looking to create change and you have 3 days a week for 30 minutes, 2 of those could be intense and the last one could be more of a mobility session. But if you go to somebody like myself and you give me the scenarios, I will give you the answers. If you say, Coach, make me fit, I'm like, for golf, for life, for fat loss, for what are we looking for? But do something active for 20 minutes on a daily basis if possible. Even when in my own coaching, if I don't hit 3 a week of 20 minutes of something, I know that I'm going to regress. And even like for me, I'm lucky I live near the Charles, so I can just go out my back door and go run a path.
So I know there's different layers of that answer, but the other side of the coin, the opposite of the intensity and the working out, is the recovery side. And it's something we haven't touched on a whole lot yet. We had mentioned sleep and you've mentioned nutrition, but how important is recovery? Is it just grind it out and work, and you're going to get results? Or does there need to be some space in between there? What does that
Yeah,
look like?
so sleep is a weapon. Sleep is recovery is a weapon. That's if I recover more than my opponent, I'm going to be more suited to go after whatever the goal is. If it's football or basketball, or I slept better than the guy I'm going into a sales meeting with, and I have a competitive advantage because I'm more mindful when I walk in there. And he had 10 beers last night. I got 8 hours of sleep. You're going to beat your competitor more likely than not. I showed up clean to the meeting. I dressed well. I have my shirt and tie on nice. My beard is trimmed. Don't go clean shaven. Come on. If you walk into that meeting, you're going to do better than the guy who got 4 hours of sleep, was at the bar till 3 a.m. and, ate like a slob, and his shirt's untucked and his belly's bursting through his buttons. Just on appearance standpoint, you're more likely to be successful. So recovery is a weapon. How you use it and what you apply to your sport or your life is up to you. If you ask me, I would say not everybody needs 8 hours or 9 hours of sleep, because you can wake up earlier and be active.
Right. Quality over quantity.
Yes. Yeah. You don't just need to always sleep.
So let's transition slightly. You had mentioned that you're up in the greater Boston area, and right before we had hopped on this call, you had shared with me something new that you're working on. And for anybody up in that area, I want to get them out to see you. What are you working on, and what's coming down the pipeline here?
So I'll pull up the logo. We got new logos, man.
Woo!
So there it is. Rotational Power Strength is the program. And so the facility is going to be in Acton, Massachusetts. The practice grounds is an existing practice facility in which I've worked with Chris Carpenter from the Shoddick. He has a practice facility in which there's like 5 or 6 hitting bays, there's TrackMan, there's all that good stuff, and I'll be adding the fitness side. So I'm expanding on a existing place. It's in Acton, Mass. It's on the Acton Maynard line. And I'm buying equipment. Let's put it this way. They ship $1,000 worth of kettlebells. A lot of them, they ship one.
Yes.
I'm building the gym out, and I'll be expanding there, as well as, I'm online. I coach on Zoom all the time. I'm basically a Zoom expert, just like the rest of us have become. I'm on Zoom and CoachKevinDuffy.com, as well as if you're a member at Nashotah Country Club, come see me. I've been there for 2 weeks now, and I am already enjoying it immensely. I should have worked at a country club a long time ago.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you're playing a lot of golf now too.
Well, I mean, everybody is. It's the only thing you were allowed to do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. When this whole thing is over and we're allowed to take flags back out of the hole, will you do it or keep it in? Take it out.
Pull it out. Close. I hate it close. I really hate it close.
Got it. So when you're close, open the hole up, drop it in, but when it's long.
Dude, I am a very mentally strong person.
Yeah.
Except when I have a 4-foot slider. Like, get that flag out of my way. Clear the hole because I'm coming in hot.
Right?
Yeah. And some people are like, well, it will slow it down. I know, dude. I know.
But
I'm very mentally strong, except for a 4-foot putt to finally break the bogey streak that I'm on. I bogeyed every hole on the back nine the other day. It was so annoying.
Oh, it's tough.
I was so mad.
All right. We've had an incredible conversation. We've dived in deep. There's probably a lot more that we could talk about, but I know that you got to get on, and we don't want to tie everybody up, but there's probably going to be a part 2 to all of this.
Cool.
What would you like everyone, if there was one thing that people should take away from this, one little summary?
Other than deadlift?
Other than deadlift, what do you want everyone to know? They walk away from this and they say, wow, that one thing changed my life, changed my game.
I would like them to find out what type of golf athlete they are before they play. I think that would benefit. Like if you took nothing out of this, playing around with how exercise and what types of warm-ups benefit to how you play, I think that would be great. You know, if you told me to pick one, I would say find out what type of golf athlete you are. Now, I say this. Tell me how you swung and how you felt. If
right.
I missed, 7 putts that I should have made today, like that's not on us. You're the one with the club.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you felt better doing that, but you putt worse, I don't know if you would necessarily correlate the two. Sure. Maybe from a mental standpoint, but finding out what type of golf athlete you are and how you feel over the ball in every position throughout the 18 holes will be helpful. And then pack yourself some food at the turn, please. Those are me in a second.
Awesome. All right. Now, you have a big social media presence. People can find you all over the place. They can watch your presentations from the TPI stage that we've been talking about.
Yep.
How do people get in touch with you? How do they reach out? If they're in the Boston area, how do they come over and work with you online, all that good stuff?
Yeah. So I have a website, coachkevinduffy.com. Also, the email is the same thing, and the social media is the same thing, Coach Kevin Duffy or at Coach Kevin Duffy on Instagram. I'm pretty good at getting back to DMs and emails. And I would love to have more people that I interact with on Zoom. I think Zoom's a much easier platform for me to coach online and be able to see you rather than just hand you a program and be like, please do it right. I think it's a good way to close the gap from emailed session to emailed session followed up by in-person session. Not everybody can get to, Acton, Massachusetts or join the Shota Country Club. So I got to find some other way to coach you.
No, but if you can get up there, you guys should.
Yeah.
Kevin's the best of the best right here. This has been awesome. Perfect. Well, Kevin, I can't thank you enough for coming on out here. We'll have to do another one of these because I know there's going to be a lot of feedback coming in, a lot of things that we can dive into. For anybody watching this on the replay, reach out to Kevin. Come see him up in Boston. Reach out to me if you have any questions. If you need me to get in touch and connect dots, that's what I'm here for. Kevin, can't thank you enough. I appreciate it. We'll do another one soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Everybody it was fun.
Awesome. Have a great day, everybody.
If you've enjoyed this episode and want to learn more, go to tourshotgolf.com to learn how you can play the best golf of your life. Move better, play better.